Hello everyone, my name is Veronica and today I'll be talking to you about stress, health and coping. But first I'd like to acknowledge and pay my deepest respect to the traditional owners and elders past, present and future of the lands upon we meet today. So what's health? What makes us healthy? According to the World Health Organization, health is a complete physical, social and mental well-being and not merely the absence of a disease or infirmity. As you can see, the Conceptual Framework for Australians' Health 2016 accentuates the complexity of health and well-being, and the biological, lifestyle, economic, societal, environmental factors that contribute to health. There are a range of factors that influence a person's health. Determinants vary, and to name a few, these include, biologically, your body weight could change, your blood pressure could rise, behavioral, amount of exercise you get, so you determine that, and that's a determinant for your health. Environmental, what age you are, where you work, where you were born and how you were raised. Social, so cultural, economic background, for example, living in a low SES area. So these are all factors that contribute to health. So, mortality from all causes in the lowest socioeconomic group was 29% higher than in the highest socioeconomic group in 2009 to 2011. If we take a look at Rosenstock's health benefit model, health-related behaviors are guided by four main factors. So, the perceived benefit versus barriers, that's 1, perceived threat, that's 2, self-efficacy, that's 3, and cues to action. For example, Lana lives in a low SES place. This can affect her health choices, like choosing to smoke, for instance. The Australian Institute of Health and Welfare state that lung cancer was the second leading cause of premature death in Australia in 2010 to 2012. The societal attitudes, legislation and public health influences tobacco consumption, but on average, those in the lowest socioeconomic group were far more likely to smoke daily. This highlights how impactful determinants can be. So, what's stress? Stress is an internal process which occurs when you're overwhelmed and unable to cope with situations or events. What are stresses? Stresses can be external from the environment, psychological or social situations, or internal, so an illness, or from a medical procedure. Stress is objective and a perception that manifests in everyone differently. So, for example, you have a friend and she's really stressing out over an assignment that's due in around maybe 2 weeks. Her stress is different to your stress because it's different for everyone, so it manifests differently. She could be panicking and getting very, very agitated and very worried, whereas you could not have started yet and not be worried at all because you know that you still have plenty of time and that you can manage it. Daily stresses can be your 8 a.m. tutorial, traffic in the morning, standing in line for Mikey. Those are daily stresses. But life events, they're when something big happens, like you're sick or you're starting university. Like the American Psychological Association found that the amount of stress and the perception of health affects health and mortality of individuals. It's important to distinguish between because stress's perception influences how intense your stress will be. So there are two types of stresses, physiological and psychological stresses. So physiological stresses, they can cause homeostasis in your body, which then can cause cognitive, learned and emotional impairment. So for example, you are really stressed out for this exam. This can cause you to have a higher heart rate and sweaty palms before exam. During your exam, you may have a mental blank, which can be caused by the stress that you're feeling. So, listed above are some university student stresses, and this includes cost of travel or parking each week, associated course costs, online contact hours, academic progression, if you're studying an undergraduate course or a postgraduate course, or if you're studying full-time or part-time, and the field of study that you are doing. So the National Tertiary Wellbeing 2016 survey found that 65% of university students reported high or very high psychological distress, with lectures being the least stressful and exams being the most stressful. So overall, very few students reported no academic stress, and around 64.2% of students found academic experiences in general to be very or extremely stressful. So what's coping? Do you know how to cope? So coping is the ability to deal with responsibilities, problems, or obstacles successfully. By looking at the general adaptive syndrome image, we can see the 3-stage response to stress. So the first reaction is the alarm reaction. At the alarm reaction stage, a distress signal is sent to a part of our brain called the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus enables the release of hormones called glucocorticoids. Glucocorticoids trigger the release of adrenaline and cortisol, which is a stress hormone. This in turn causes the fight or flight response. The body then tries to recover. It's not fully recovered from the alarm reaction stage, but we can use coping strategies to calm us down in stressful situations so it can come to an end. In this stage, the body will return to normal. If not, it will continue to the exhaustion stage. So the exhaustion stage is biological and it increases cardiovascular disease. So in university, healthy eating can be a challenge because of the amount of temptations on campus like bubble tea or grilled. So Proshaka's stages of readiness is a process for individuals to achieve a certain goal. So as we take healthy eating as an example, in the pre-contemplation stage, we think about the impact healthy eating can have, like preventing us from heart disease or diabetes. In the contemplation stage, we think about the pros and cons, and in the preparation stage, we write down the goals and prepare a plan of action. We then take the action and avoid behaviors that could lead to relapse. So the SMART model helps us with goal setting and stress coping. So for specific, we know we have a quiz in 7 days and we want to be prepared as we can. So our goal is to do 7 pages out of 25 pages of notes for the readings each day leading up to the end of the quiz date. This allows us to concentrate and not be too stressed. Is it measurable? We can check if it's measurable and achievable by seeing if it's realistic. If not, we can reduce it by lowering it to around 5 or 6 pages a day. Reward. Maybe rewarding it by watching the latest Grey's Anatomy or eating a snack you like. Time limited. Have a time limit. So we want to finish it before the 7th day. So set it to 5 days. On the 5th day, you finish your quiz preparation to allow room if you're feeling overwhelmed or if you haven't finished the pages yet. There are 2 types of coping, negative and positive coping strategies. So negative can be self-blame, depressive tendency like suicide or drugs, but they influence us in a negative way. Positive adjustments help us to stay on top of things and reduce stress in a healthier way. So some positive strategies that we can do is eat and drink sensibly, get enough sleep, recognize good things about yourself, build your self-esteem up, build yourself to be a better person. Say no to unreasonable demand. And find time to relax every day. Just a little thing, maybe playing your guitar or going on a walk with your dog can be good for you. Here are a few takeaway points. You can pause the video to take notes. Thank you all for listening. I hope you learn a little bit more about health, stress and coping, and how to implement it in your busy lives. Take care.